Welcome all to the course of Data Communication Networking, B7th semester, Electronics and Communication Engineering. Up to now, we have discussed about a wired LAN, different Ethernet connection, fast Ethernet, gigabit Ethernet is discussed in the previous sections. Today we start a new topic called as an wireless LANs. So let's introduce wireless LANs. A wireless communication is one of the fastest growing technology. The demand for the connecting the device without the use of the cable is increasing everywhere. As you are using your Wi-Fi, Bluetooth are covered in this wireless connections. A wireless LAN can be found on the college campus, in office building or in many public areas. Over here we concentrate on the two promising wireless technologies for the LANs are IEEE 802.11 and wireless LANs, sometimes called as an wireless Ethernet and Bluetooth. A technology for a small wireless LANs. Although both protocols needs several layers to operate, we concentrate mostly on the physical and the data link layer over here. Fine. So one and the most important for our wireless communication and particular standard use is IEEE 802.11. You might have been seen when you have installed and driver for your laptop, then particular 802.11 point something is displayed in your driver for your wireless LAN. Okay, so IEEE has defined the specification of our wireless LAN called as an 802.11, which covers the physical and the data link layer. Fine. So topic to be discussed in this section is architecture of our wireless LAN, MAC sublayer and physical layer. So first discuss the architecture of this wireless LAN. The standard defines two kinds of service. The basic service set called as an BSS and extended service set called as an ESS. So first discuss the basic service set. In the IEEE 802.11 defines a basic service set called as an BSS as the building block of our wireless LAN. A basic service set is made of stationary or a mobile wireless station and optional center based set called as an access point. Fine. So over here there is a situation in which our station will be stationary or mobile, or a particular access point is given in this basic service set. So our figure shows the two set in this standard. The BSS without an access point over here is a standalone network and cannot send the data to the other base station. It is called as an ad hoc networks or ad hoc architecture. In this architecture, station can form a network without a need a access point. They can locate one another and the degree to be part of an BSS. A BSS with an access point is sometimes referred as an infrastructure network. Over here, a station 1 can send the data with the help of the access point to the station 4, so it will become an infrastructure. So we can say that an BSS without an access point is called as an ad hoc network, and a BSS with an access point is called as an infrastructure network. Okay, now next ESS. ESS means Extended Service Set. An extended service set is made up of two or more BSS with an access point. In this case, our BSS are connected to the distribution system, as you can see in this figure, which is usually a wired LAN. Over here it is a wired LAN. The distribution system connects the different access points in the BSS. IEEE 802.11 does not restrict the distribution system. It can be only an IEEE LAN such as Ethernet. Note that the extended service set uses the two type of stations, a mobile and a stationary. The mobile station are normal station inside our BSS. The stationary stations are the access point station that are part of our wired LAN, as you can see in this figure. Fine. Our extended service set explains you how a wired and wireless stations are connected. When our BSS are connected, the station within reach of the one another can communicate without the use of an access point. However, the communication between the two stations in the two different BSS usually occurred via the two access points like this. Okay. The idea is similar to the communication in the cellular network. If we consider each BSS to the cell and each access point to be as a base station, note that the mobile station can belong to more than one BSS at the same time. As you can see over here, this station is in BSS 1 and BSS 2. Over here, this station will be BSS 2 and BSS 3. Okay. So let's discuss the station types. And IEEE 802.11 defines the three type of a station based on their mobility in a wireless LAN. First is no transition, second is BSS transition, third is ESS transition mobility. A station with no transition mobility is either stationary, not moving, or moving only inside our BSS. A station with an BSS transition mobility can move from one BSS to the another BSS, but the movement is not confined inside a one ESS. A station with an ESS transition mobility can move from one ESS to another ESS. However, IEEE 802.11 does not guarantee that the communication is continuous during the move. It will depend the signal strength and other parameters for the communication. Let's go ahead. MAC sublayer. Our IEEE 802.11 defines two MAC sublayers. A distributed coordination function called as an DCF and point coordination function PCF. Our figure shows the relationship between the two MAC sublayers, the LLC sublayers, and a physical layer. We discuss the physical layer implementation later in this topic, and we'll now concentrate on a MAC sublayer over here. Our first is distributed coordination function called as DCF. Okay. One of the two protocols define the IEEE at the MAC sublayer is called as an distributed coordination function. The DCF uses the CSMSCA as the access method. Wireless LAN cannot implement the CSMS-CD for these three reasons. You might have this question in your mind that why we not apply for a CSMS-CD. We have to apply CSMS-CA because of these three reasons. First is For a collision detection, a station must be able to send the data and receive the collision signals at the same time. This mean that it mean costly station and increase the bandwidth requirement. Second reason is the collision may not be detected because the hidden station problem, which will be discussed shortly. The distance between the station can be great. Signal fading could prevent a station at one end from hearing the collision at the other end. A signal fading is called as a signal's quality will be degraded after penetrating any object or reflecting from the object and receiving at our receiver. So the fading have a lower quality than our transmitted signal. So you can say that it is a one type of a signal loss in our transmission medium. Okay, so for these three reasons we are avoiding a CSMS CD. A process flow chart. Our figure shows the process flow chart for our CSMS CA as used as our wireless LAN. We will explain the steps very shortly. First is a frame exchange timeline. Our figure shows the exchange of the data and control frames in time. First is before us sending a frame, our source station sends the medium by checking the energy level at a carrier frequency. A channel uses the pre-resistance strategy with a back off until the channel is idle. After the station is found idle, the station waits for a period of a time called as an distributed interframe space called as an DIFS. Then the station sends a control frame called as an request to send RTS over here. After receiving the RTS and waiting a period of a time called as an short interframe space called as an ISIFS, our destination station sends a control frame called as an clear to send CTS to the source station. This control frame indicates that the destination station is ready to receive the data. Our source station sends the data after waiting an amount of a time equal to SIFS called as short interframe space. The destination station after waiting the amount of time of equal to SIFS sends an acknowledgement to show that the frame that have been received. Acknowledgement is needed in this protocol because the station does not have any means to check for a successful arrival of a data at the destination. On the other hand, the lack of the collision in the CSMS CD is a kind of an identification to the source and the data have been arrived. Next is network allocation vector called as a NAV. How do other stations differ sending their data if one station acquires the access? Or how is a collision avoidance aspect of this protocol accomplished? Yes, the key is the feature called as an NAV, network allocation vector. When a station sends an RTS frame, it includes the duration of a time that needed to occupy the channel. The station that are affected by this transmission create a timer called as a network allocation vector NAV that shows how much time must pass before this station are allowed to check the channel for the idleness. Each time a station accesses the systems and sends an RTS frame. Other stations start their NAV. In other words, each station, before sensing the physical medium to see if it is ideal, first checks the NAV to see if it has expired. Our figure shows the idea of our NAV. Means if a one station source is sending a data, other station observes the NAV that particular time. After that particular time, other station who wants to transmit the data then sends that the channel is ideal. A collision during a handshaking. What happens if there is a collision during the transmission when an RTS or CTS control frames are in a transition, which is often called as an handshaking period? Two or more stations may try to send an RTS frame at the same time. These control frames may collide. However, because there is no mechanism for the collision detection, the sender assumes there has been a collision if it has not received an CTS frame from the receiver. The back-off strategy is employed. The sender tries again. Okay. So I think it is clear to you, CSMA and NAV. Next is point coordination function, called as an PCF. The point coordination function, called as an PCF, is an optional access method that can be implemented in an infrastructure network. It is not used in our ad hoc network where an access point is not available. So it will implement only and only where then access point is there. It is implemented on the top of the DCF and it is used mostly for the time sensitive transmission. Our PCF has centralized contention free polling access method. The access point performs a polling for a station that are capable of being polled. The stations are polled one after another, sending any data they have to be access point. To give priority to the PCF over the DCF, another set of an infrastructure spaces has been defined, called as an PIFS and SIFS. The SIFS is the same as the DCF, but the PIFS, called as an PCF-IFS, is shorter than DIFS. This means that if at the same time the station wants to use only the DCF and AP wants to use the PCF and AP has a priority. Due to the priority of an PCF over the DCF, the stations that only use the DCF may not gain access to the medium. To prevent this, the repetition intervals has been designed to cover the both contention free, just like our PCF, and contention based DCF traffic. The repetition interval, which is repeated continuously, starts with a special control frame called as an beacon frame. When the station hears the beacon frame, they start their NAV for the duration of the contention free period of an repetition interval. Our figure shows the example of our repetition interval. Fine. So it is our contention free time. There is a contention over here. The total is repetition interval. B is our beacon frame. CF is contention free. Over here, pole is there, then acknowledgement and data. The total period of a transmission is called as an NAV. So it is clear to you that the point coordination function. During the repetition interval, a point controller can send a pole frame, receive data, send an acknowledgement, and receive an acknowledgement, or do any combination of this. 802.11 uses the piggybacking. At the end of the contention free period, the PC sends a CF AND, just like our contention free AND, frame to allow the contention bridge station to use the medium. Fragmentation. The wireless environment is very noisy. A corrupt frame has to be retransmitted. The protocol therefore accommodates fragmentation, the division of a large frames into the smaller ones. It is a more efficient to resend a small frame than a large one. Fine. So it will be very beneficiary in our transmission channel than some part of the frame is resend instead of our entire frame. So how our frame format will be there? Our MAC layer frame consists of 9 fields, as you can see in this figure, starting with our frame control called as an FC. Our FC field is a 2 byte long and defines the type of the frame and some control information. For that, go for this table. This table describes our subfield. We will discuss each frame type later in this topic. Next is D field. In all frames except this one, this field defines the duration of the transmission that is used to set the value of NAV. In other control frame, this field defines the ID of the frame. Next is addresses. There are 4 address field, 1, 2, 3, 4. Each having 6 bytes long. The meaning of each address field depends on the value of the TODS, to DS or from DS. Subfield, which will be discussed later. Sequence control called as an SC. This field defines the sequence number of the frame to be used in the flow control. After that, a frame body. This field, which can be between 0 to 2312 bytes, contains the information based on the type and the subtype defined in the FC. FCS last. The FCS build is a 4 byte long and contains the CRC32 error detecting sequence. Okay, so it is our frame format of our next is data frame. And frame type. Our frame type having a defined learned by 802.11 standards in the three categories: a management frame, control frame, and the data frame. First is management frame. Our management frames are used for the initial communication between the station and an access point. Fine. Second is control frame. A control frames are used for an accessing the channel and the acknowledging the frames. Our figure shows the control frames. So it is used for an accessing the channel and acknowledging frames. For control frames, the value of the type field is 0, 1. The values of the subtype fields for the frames we have discussed as shown in this figure or table. 1011 is for the request to send, 1100 is for a clear to send, and 1101 is for a acknowledgement. Lastly, the data frames. The data frames are used for carrying the data and the control information. Okay, so there is a three type of frame we have seen: management, control, and data. Next is addressing mechanism. Our IEEE 802.11 addressing mechanism specifies 4 cases defined by the value of the two flags to DS and from DS, as you can see in this table. Each flag is either by 0 or 1, resulting in the 4 different situations. The interpretation of the 4 addresses, address 1 to address 4, in the MAC frame depends on the value of this flag. So you see the table that 2DS and from DS have a different value 0 and 1. So 2 raised to 2 will be 4. So there is 4 different combination of our 0 ones. Note that the address 1 is always a address of a next device. Address 2 is always the address of the previous device. Address 3 is the address of our final destination station if it is not defined by our address 1. And address 4 is the address of our original source if it is not same as our address 2. Case 1, where 00 is there, 2DS is equal to 0 and from DS is equal to 0. This means that the frame is not going to the distribution system and is not coming from the distribution system. The frame is going from one station in a base BSS to another without passing through the distribution system. The acknowledgement frame should be sent the original sender. The addresses are shown in this figure. There are 4 mechanisms shown over here in our 4 case. Case number 2. In this case, there is a 0 and 1, means the frame is coming from the distribution system from DS1. The frame is coming from an AP and going to the station. The acknowledgement should be sent to the access point. The addresses are as shown in this figure. Note that the address 3 contains the original sender of the frame in another BSS. Okay. Case 3, where a 10 configuration is there. In this case, the 2DS is equal to 1 and from DS is equal to 0. This means that the frame is going to the distribution system the frame is going from the station to an access point, the SEK is sent to the original station. The addresses are shown in this figure. Note that the addresses 3 contains the final destination of a frame, just like our another BSS. Case number 4, where both are 1. In this case, ds to ds is equal to 1 and from ds is equal to 1. This is the case in which the distribution system is also a wireless frame is going from a one access point to the another access point in the wireless distribution system. We do not need to define the addresses if the distribution system is a wired LAN, because the frame is in this case has the format of a wired LAN frame, just like our Ethernet. Here we need 4 addresses to define the original sender, the final destination, and the 2 intermediate access points. So a 4th figure shows this situation. Okay, so we are at the end of this session, so let's revise our discussion. So it is a wireless LAN part 1 video, topic 5.4. we defined an 802.11 of our IEEE standards. We have defined an architecture of our standard BSS and access point, an ad hoc network and infrastructure configuration where an access point is there. We have also defined the extended service sets with a distribution system. We have defined a MAC layer and MAC sub layer. Why we not use then CSMA-CD? We have defined a flowchart, a frame access timeline, and NAV will be discussed. A PCF is discussed. A frame format of our standard. A 3 type of frame: management, control, and data. A control frames and its value. 4 addressing mechanism where a 00, 01, 10 and 11 configuration is there. Fine. So it is a question for you. Write down in your notebook and send in the particular medium as per the given direction. Okay, thank you. See you in the next session.